If you're wondering why I didn't show up on a video yesterday, check out my driving. I'm towing in my friend Martin on one of the biggest waves of the day at Nazare. And this is me on a jet ski. I barely made it over that wave. If I didn't make it over that wave would have tossed me into the flats. I would have fallen about 50 feet and absolutely destroyed myself. But I made it. All right, so now let's get into the video for today. We have Robert Kiyosaki says the biggest crash in history has just begun. Should we take him seriously? That's a very good question because he's all over mainstream media. He's all over crypto Twitter and people on YouTube and stuff talking about it. So let's go over if he's going to be right. This is a great tweet from Star Platinum. He says, Robert Kiyosaki has a track record of predictions, and every one of them is wrong. So let's go over to some of his predictions. All right. Bitcoin, he says, Bitcoin will hit $75,000 in 2023. It never broke $74,000. Bitcoin will hit $350,000 by August 2024. Never happened. Let's go all the way down to the Bitcoin will hit $175,000 to $350,000 in 2025, and that obviously probably isn't going to happen. We're probably not going to hit $350,000 or even $175,000 in a couple weeks. He also said, the biggest crash ever is coming in 2018. He also said the COVID crash is just starting in 2020. I mean, that was a very clear indication when Bitcoin went from $7,500 to $3,500 that was the bottom. That was capitulation. I mean, Heidi and I were on YouTube and we were telling our viewers, this is the bottom. You're crazy for not buying. We got a lot of flack for that, but it turned out to be in the bottom. Like March 2020 was the bottom, and so on and so on. So with that said, I wouldn't take this guy very seriously, but he did make a very good book that actually inspired me to start investing called Rich Dad Poor Dad. You can take this with a grain of salt when he goes on and talks about Bitcoin because he doesn't understand much about Bitcoin. You can tell when he's on mainstream media that he doesn't understand it, and that's fine, whatever. He's just trying to make his presence, okay? Moving on, we also have the White House going to tax Americans' foreign crypto accounts, okay? A proposed IRS rule would let the US government track Americans' crypto abroad for taxation. Clinton Donnelly says this perfectly. This is where I have real questions. On one hand, the White House has been saying, let's eliminate capital gains tax. Let's eliminate taxation on crypto transactions. Let's promote the digital asset sector. He goes on to say, but at the exact same time, they're enabling the IRS to launch the largest global reporting crackdown in history on crypto transactions. You can't have it both ways. So what's really going on? Is this just political rhetoric? Obviously, this is political rhetoric. As most of you know, he's just a puppet for the Federal Reserve. He's going to say a lot of things that he doesn't mean, and that's fine. He's just a politician like every other president, okay? So what do I think is going to happen? I think they're going to really crack down on people that aren't paying their crypto taxes. I actually saw a stat the other day where it's like 75% of people in the United States aren't reporting their crypto profits, which is like, I mean, I don't know how the IRS is going to catch up to all that, but, it's kind of playing with fire in my opinion because the IRS is really like a pretty crazy entity and they're just an arm of the Federal Reserve. And so, yeah, they're going to do whatever it takes to get their little piece of the pie. Okay. Now let's go on to the yen carry trade. A lot of people are saying this is going to be a bear market. We are already in a bear market because the yen carry trade has blown up. This is a great article by Investor Answers. Okay. People are acting like the yen carry trade suddenly blew up when the market opened on last week. But that is not true. Japanese 10-year bond yields have been rising all year long, up 70% year to date. And we actually did a video on this earlier this year, pretty much saying the exact same thing. So anyone heavily involved in that trade has already been unwinding it slowly over months. Okay, so it's just, it blows my mind that the amount of research that people do in crypto land is just like, it's nothing, essentially. So here we are telling you the truth. It's not the Japanese yen carry trade that's blowing up the market. It's a normal 35.6% bull market correction. We've had 30% corrections so far this bull market. Usually we have a 40% correction, and a usual bull market that we have about 5 or 6 very large corrections in the 30% range. This is why I've been telling our subscribers at learningcrypto.com that I'm not scared whatsoever, and we've been buying the dip with the money that we made profit-wise from selling Bitcoin in the $100,000, $105,000, and $110,000 range. And why did I sell? So I can buy back. The whole point of this isn't so that you can just catch every single trade and do it on margin. We do the very opposite. We never get liquidated. I've never been liquidated in my entire life. October 10th, just chilling while everybody's getting liquidated. Why? Because I don't get in leverage and I have a long-term mindset in this space. That is how you make money in this space. Now, moving on, we also have millions of Americans are defaulting on their loans. Why is that happening? Because the Federal Reserve is printing so much currency behind the scenes that they're not also telling you. It's creating massive amounts of inflation. It's making people very, very poor. So what's going to be happening? Universal basic income. You heard it here first, that US is going to be doing a lot of universal basic income. That is why Trump's giving a $2,000 stimulus package for people making under $100,000 a year. This is going to be the norm, guys. There's going to be massive amounts of layoffs. Also, check this out. The U.S. Treasury just bought back $12.5 billion of their own debt. This is called debt monetization. This is the end of an empire. This is what they do at the end of an empire, okay? The largest Treasury buyback in history. This game is over, guys. You've been playing this game for a long time. It's over. This is the end of the road. They're going to be coming out with a digital currency called a CBDC. And you've also heard this here as well. This is why owning Bitcoin is so important. It doesn't matter what the short-term prices are in this space. It matters where currency is heading in the future, and it's not a pretty sight, especially when a central bank controls every aspect of your currency. That is why we're buying Monero. That is why Bitcoin is important. That is why other coins are important. And that is why Heidi and I also talk about Monero. And that is, it gets kicked off exchanges. That makes me attracted to it because big money is scared. Big money meaning Wall Street is scared of Monero because, do your research on that. We've done videos on that. I can't say it right here. But anyways, talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.